Hey there, beloved Ascension Pioneers, and welcome to, finally, a video in the segment of Wisdom from the Stars. So this will be another galactivation video. Yesterday I had a most amazing run after a while, and I was sort of experiencing this, what I call galactivation. So I sat there to meditate, and all of a sudden this knowledge, further remembrance started to pour in, and I didn't know what to do with it at first, but there was so much of it. And when I came home, I just had to write some of it down, and then I decided to record this video because on my path, it's always like my family of light gives me as much as I am ready to receive at that moment, which means that that is meant to be shared. I will never receive something if it's not meant to be shared, so it is what it is, and that's why now I'm going to put this into this video. And what does it really mean when I say light family? I mean my soul group, the oversoul, and anchoring the wisdom through my I am. So, today's video will be about further expansion on the topic of ancestral healing, which is actually star healing, star origin healing, and different star systems healing. And the thing is, you know, when I thought about it now, when I was walking through these rocks here, as you can see, I'm in this beautiful surroundings that was totally unpredictable, but somehow Spirit guided me to come here. Because the energy is very high here. You know, I could feel a bit of dizziness when I was walking. The energy is really intense with all the rocks and the mountain water. And I was thinking about this, you know, different timelines and what we call sometimes past lives, and then another level we call them parallel realities. But I was shown this picture that it's even beyond that. It's just like we're existing, and we're like existing on a different, more expanded and more expanded level. So this is what this is about. And when I'm going to be talking about this subject now, this is really what it's about. It's a more expanded view on what's happening behind the scenes. So when I was sitting there in meditation, all of a sudden my beloved comes in. There was this beautiful pink light in my third eye, and it was just a beautiful feeling. And he started talking telepathically to me, because we're one, always one mission, one purpose. And he said something that I need to remember further what our main mission was about, what it's on a deeper level. Like I said, we have different levels, different purposes. That's how it is. So let's say that our main basic attention, where it mostly is, it's what we do here in our human reality. So like I would say I'm doing Ascension Pioneers and these videos and writings and blogging and Elven singing and all these things. So this is what I do. This is one tiny level and aspect of it. Although it seems big, and there's a lot of people that are attracted to this, and there's a lot of people involved in this, and that's why my beloved yesterday, he told me that that's why I chosen to do this, because I was always the type of being that knew how to attract and magnetize people towards me, how to affect them with my light so they would actually come to this, how they would migrate towards this greater divine remembrance that lives in all of us in our greater expanded states. And he's quite the charmer when he was telling me this. And I knew it's true, because otherwise what I'm doing wouldn't be happening this way. So it's something that's just there magnetically in our soul. It's already our reality. When we come here, we're just automatically experiencing this by aligning ourselves with this more and more. So then on that note, he shared that it's really important to understand these things on a bigger level now, what they're happening. And on a bigger level, my purpose would be different. And I was often wondering my purpose with the different people in my lives. And let's say that when I came into union with a certain individual, you know, in the male-female relationships, when the union was occurring and there was energies intermingling, he was actually showing me why this was happening. And I got a much broader perspective, which made so much sense, because it's connected with our further galactic awareness, because as you know, we're becoming galactic humans. Our galactic remembrance is coming back. And I want to share now what this was shown to me. So let's start at the beginning. When Earth, when this planet was seeded from the very first start, there was different star races coming here, contributing their DNA to the melting pot. So as you know, the human species was like a contribution of the many star races and different DNA structures, and the human being was meant to be created a certain way as a beautiful light being. And as you know, many things were happening in the human histories, many different racial interbreeding and mixing and, you know, mingling of the energies, and not always was of the highest intent, but what happened. So let's say that during those influences, the human DNA was changing, and the star races that were giving the first input let's say in the beginning we had mostly Pleiadian structure. So let's say it was, let's say overall Pleiadian nature, because these were our first contributors. And then what we have now, you know, where we came into being, as you know, there's a lot of war on this planet. This is like warlike planet, and a lot of competition and greed and all those lower nature structures that were actually coming from different star systems. So this is now basically Orion structure was in our DNA, and you can find more about this in Salvador Kelly's books. But I won't be emphasizing this video on this note, because this is about the DNA alteration through star system lineage. So as you know, your soul has a different origin on different planes, and this means when you first began your experience as your individualized self, this does not mean you have identity in the sense that you are me, you know, in that kind of version, but you have uniqueness in your soul signature that is just you. And you, as a twin soul, you always share a unique purpose only as your twin soul. It is unique to you. Nobody else has the same signature. So, as you know, in the creation, there were those who stayed as in the individualization process in this higher planes density. So your soul is 7th level density. We would call this our angelic human self. It's not really human, but now as humans, when we're in the process of embodying, it's becoming human angelic. And there were those who stayed in that. They knew that frequency and they served that frequency. And there were those souls who chose to experience lower density planes of existence, lower worlds of matter. And those just had a different purpose. Like I said, there's no separation in this. It's just like a different side of the same coin, because creation is all one. So because these who stayed with the highest densities were moving even further up, and they were serving those planes, and they knew this. So they knew, and they were involved, because these levels are involved with the seedings, with the light bearings, with the being the pillar, serving the Holy Spirit, oftentimes. And they had this knowledge. So when this shift began to take its course of action on this planet now, they got involved, because they were already involved in the beginning of the seeding process. So because these beings, these light beings, knew how this is done, they were called to action because they already know how. There's those souls who have been experiencing these worlds of matter, so they don't have the knowledge for this, although all knowledge is one, but their experience was different. So the path, the purpose is different as well. Do you understand what I'm saying? And please, again, there's no separation in this. But it's important to understand, like, in every plane, even in the higher planes, there's always, like, it's not a hierarchy, it's just a divine purpose. It's a variation of creation that is different to each unique being as their own template, essence. So those who were with these higher densities, a lot of times what people call them is illumined twin souls. And the illumined ones, and I always talk about coming from the realms of illuminated truth, but all truth is one. So this is where all these star origin, lineages, all these are one. So you carry the knowledge and the signature of all together. You have the wisdom, the understanding, the knowledge of all together as one, because you were always working with these frequencies as one. And what was happening then on this planet, with these primary star essences coming through the human DNA, and later, you know, everything was playing out as it was, and there was a lot of distortion in the human DNA, and there was also a lot of manipulation. And as you know, when the Anunnaki beings came here, and the different races that weren't always caring for the benevolence, but they were more like for their own egoic tendencies, you know, manipulating human DNA. And ever since even the fall of Atlantis, which was the last period when we were really, really as a race evolved to the level when we could embody source light and stay in the physical. And from there on, things just were not the same anymore on this planet. So what's now happening with the alteration of this planet's frequencies and rising into a planetary ascension, there are souls also who are choosing to move with it. And they're ready to once again embody this. So when I say soul embodiment, what does that mean? A lot of times people think, well, it's just being connected with your soul. No, it's embodiment. What this means is your soul is not just your spirit part, you know, kind of like when souls when souls come in this experience, they don't fully come as a full embodiment of the soul in the human flesh. It's not how it is. So we call this like human spirits. You know, that's what we say, woo, if somebody dies, you can still feel their spirit's presence. But it's not like spirit when I say Holy Spirit. It's not the same thing. So we have these spirit parts, and these are all kind of tiny, tiny, tiny fractions of our overall huge self, which is soul, which is something that Dolores Cannon explains well in her books too. And all these parts, when you come back again into Ascension, you integrate your soul, you take all these parts, you get all these experiences from all your lifetimes, from all your lineages, and you embody them, and you take those experiences back to your 7th level density, and you become once again that angelic self, but this time you become with knowledge. You have all these experiences. So the path of physical ascension, this is how I call it. And the soul embodiment does not just mean, okay, I'm now connecting with my soul, because this is, your higher self always guiding you. Soul embodiment means that you're literally bringing in your physical body, when you activate those higher multidimensional parts of you, which are not, like I said, past or parallel. It's much bigger than that. It's just huge expanded parts of you. You're already there in a way. It's like happening, not because it's not parallel. If we say parallel reality, okay, it's one thing to one way of viewing it. But when you look at the nature of creation is cyclical, and it's a spiral. So how can it be parallel? Because when we say parallel, we see a line. So in fact, it's just a greater expanded parts of you. And when you're coming back into Ascension, you're bringing those parts back into you. And this is what physical Ascension means. And you're literally beginning to embody them. So for example, when I was activating in last year, birthing Aurea part of me, the elven queen part of me, then I was taking these parts and I needed to embody them. And that came through art and through all memories, and I was expressing them in human physical form. If I didn't, it would just stay here and I wouldn't actually embody this. And now, in this timeline where I am now, and with my birthday, which was this week, I entered a new state. I birthed a new level of myself, and this is the spirit connection, which I call the Serafina light. I will explain more about this when I have my webpage done, and in the process of making Serafina light webpage, so stay tuned for that. I'll explain more there what it's about. But this is a part that cannot be embodied. Sometimes people say, I am this an archangel or seraphim or this and that embodied. This is not how it is, because this is a part that never has form. This is you already existing in these higher levels, but you as a human form, you cannot be seraphim incarnate. This just doesn't make sense. Sometimes I see people in New Age circles claiming that, and I see these people are completely delusional, because that's not even how it is. And once you understand how spirit is, how creation is, and you understand these levels of densities and realities, you simply would never claim something like that. So when I say Serafina light, it means this aspect of me can flow through me, but it's not like the whole of your spirit will ever be in this tiny human form, if you know what I mean. But when I say soul embodiment, this is the level that we're moving towards, the embodiment of our 7th density, of our becoming the angelic human self. And it's something that Diana Cooper, I think, explained nicely in her books as well, I think in the Keys of the Universe. And she said that all the earthly masters that were here before, they all had this, they attained this wisdom, but nobody was actually capable of holding it like at all times as of yet. So this is something we're moving towards now in this new age, really becoming these pure beings, pure light beings, and still being in this form until we transcend into another form. And okay, going back, because this is huge, I know there's so much to say here in this note, and I hope to address these things more when I'll be working with people personally on any retreats, and so it's just one amount that I can actually provide in the videos. It's just how it is, And the thing is that once this DNA was altered in these states that were no longer as the original human pure design, the perfected human being, this as the Adam Kadmon body of light, and this perfect divine design principle, there was many distortions. So when those beings were involved from the beginning of the creation of this planet and beyond, when they came here and started assisting the planet, they started again restoring this DNA. And what my beloved showed me last night was that this is actually done through sacred sexual energy. As you know, we're all doing light work on many levels. Let's say I'm going to give you one example. You're doing the grid work always as a pure law of light, as a power soul. There's not like many millions of them. There's just one sort of soul group. And I think this woman explained about this, about the group of 144,000. This is how much of them, the quotient of light there is, and they're doing this work. And the thing is that, let's say you're doing grid work, and you're chosen a particular grid that you'll be working on. It's very specific for you. So let's say I chose to be incarnated in Europe, and I didn't really travel. I was always guided to be more here because my purpose is here. But when I was younger, I did travel, and once somebody showed me and told me about this ley line that goes all the way from Iceland to Greece. There's like this crack, if you would see it like that. It's an energetic ley line. And yesterday I got this guidance that these ley lines are implied in the mountain ranges, how the mountains are positioned, you know, and the same would be in the US. There's certain ley lines through their mountain ranges and so on. So my ley line was, I knew that this was something I've chosen to work on, and I remember that this is where I traveled. I didn't go further than Iceland and Greece, you know. This is where I went. This was both spaces where I was, and this is when Spirit was already showing me that's why you were only there, because your work was needed there. Because Pillars of Light, we don't travel for, you know, vacancies and vacations and have romantic fun and all these things. We do the work. We're here for doing something very specific. And although we weren't always aware of it, it was already happening. It's a natural soul unfolding process that you don't have to be aware of. Just by you being there, it's happening on the higher levels. But your physical presence is important for that work. That's what we needed, to be physically there. Okay, so when I mentioned about the sacred sexual energy, it means that those beings who understand the nature of sacred sexual energy, they understand the meaning and importance of it. I call sometimes this the Pleiadian way, because there's a part of this origin there that understands this. This has nothing to do with tainted human sexual energy, which can be very distorted, very carnal, very misused, totally wrong, not how it's intended. And those beings who understand this sacred sexual energy, they knew that it burns off all of this old, and it creates this beautiful patternings of light that are synergistically flowing again into this human form. So what my beloved was showing me yesterday was that, for example, my partners that I encountered in this lifetime, they all brought a specific patterning of a specific star system origin, which needed to be repatterned at that time. I didn't have to understand everything, which one, what, you know, like mentally. It's not a mental process. It's just something that is beyond our human understanding, and it's happening, like I said, not parallelly, but in a more expanded version of you. But it's important, he told me last night, it's important to remember this, because when we expand our horizons, we will see how much things are bigger than we think, and we're going to move away from all the petty little human thingies that we're so concerned about so often, and we're going to switch to this grander galactic perspective and healing all timelines. Remember, I said once that source healing is when you do a healing work now. It's not like past life healing, people call it. It's a timeline healing. You do it one timeline, because your oversoul grouping is always here like a cluster in the middle in your source vortex. So when you do one parallel healing, it's already merged into the wholeness. So you see, you're doing the work of the group. Sometimes the souls will interchange. They'll come in one body, maybe different souls from the same group, but they'll exchange energies, or they'll be switching roles and things like that. And there's a lot of examples in Dolores' books as well about this. And it's not so much important to mentally understand this and go analyzing it. It's more about seeing the bigger, beautiful picture of this, why this is happening. So when we're doing this star ancestral healing, let's say that each star system origin, when it brought their DNA, they also brought their specific characteristics. But at the same time, what was happening on that origin was happening energetically there. What is their main theme? Because everywhere there's like a main theme, was brought then onto Earth. And what's happening and unfolding now on Earth is parallelly, well, not parallelly, like in an expanded, bigger version happening totally elsewhere as well, in a complete beautiful picture of light. So if you can imagine, like if you would have like this rotating globe, but there's like beautiful hands of the divine doing this work. It's like a play. It's like a mother light energy that's bringing all into perfection and union and synergy and oneness. It's hard to explain, I know, with human words, but if you're only going to get 1% of what I'm saying, it's already enough. And take in only as much as you're ready to receive. The rest leave behind. It means it's not important for you now. But for those of you who will really get this, it's important for you, and it's important for you to also remember your connections and to understand them, that each one of them, behind it, has something bigger and grander that you were actually contributing to. So for those of us who are from the illumined realms, we didn't carry these healings, let's say, it was never like ours, but we made this sacrifice, which I call it the sacrifice of grace, which is love. It's not really a sacrifice that, you know, it's like, oh my gosh, I need to do this, oh gosh, you know. The higher realms never perceive things as such. Everything is a gift of the divine. Everything is a gift because creation is beautiful. And we understand the importance of the human body, why the human template is so important, why is it so special? Because like I said, Earth is like a global melting pot. It's like a digital library. It's like a star system library, because this is where everything now in this tiny, 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 beautiful planet is unfolding. Why do you think this planet has so much diversity of life? It's all, And one more example Spirit showed me is our eyes. Have you ever asked yourself, why do our eyes, when you look at them, they look just like nebulas? And have you ever seen the divine eye of God, like when they showed the nebula, this beautiful eye created? It's like a nebula, and your eyes look the same when you look at them really up close. That's why one time I was guided to make a picture of my eyes, and I asked people, what do you see? So the fair looking eyes, like bluish, greenish, turquoise, these were all from the more like, let's say, Pleiadian realms and other realms, or let's say Venusian energy, which again, it's another level of Pleiadian energy in this star system. But the thing is, when you look into your eyes, they will also carry your soul. That's why we say, wow, you can see somebody's soul in their eyes. And when different star races brought their DNA, that also affected the different appearances. So, like I said, later with all the mixing and all the interbreeding, there's so much diversity came into being. But that is why, for example, I have greenish, bluish eyes. That's just for me. And I can see my own, if I look at my star system of origin, when I look into my eyes, like really deeply, I can just feel it. It's not something you can conceptualize about. It's just there and you feel it. Okay, so this is one level of how you can understand this. And when I talk about this sacred sexual energy aspect of it, it's like when you're merging and blending your energy with somebody and you're doing this work of grace, and it's something that's unconsciously happening, but it's a part of a much bigger picture that we're seeing now, and it's happening just to our personal lives, or just to this planet. It is so much bigger than this. Remember, beautiful ones, this play that is now unfolding, it's cosmic. It's who we are. We're cosmic beings, and it's time to remember. So the more of these galactic memories we will awaken inside of us and understand our interactions, that none of them are not important. That's why, I'm sharing this also to make you aware that if you've had a relationship that was not working out, or you didn't have, everything fulfilled what you wanted, there was something there that was so needed, and you're not maybe seeing it. I'm not talking about it for everybody. Not everybody has this purpose that I'm describing now. The illumined ones have this purpose because they know how to do it with sacred sexual energy, which is not physical thing. This is creation energy. So when you can be in that level of embodiment through your awareness and love, as you know, as much light is activated, as much love can enter, and vice versa. Light does not come without being in love. And with this, you know how to use it. So it's not something that was misused or not understood properly. And I got this deeper understanding why this was needed, for example, on my path, because a lot of times some things didn't make sense. And with this opening, everything made so much sense, because it's a service to a greater perspective and greater expanded reality that we can even imagine with our human brain. But the more that you will receive these tiny remembrances and galactivations, which I call them at times, the more you'll remember this. And you will also share your memories, and you will get more deeper with what it's all actually about. So understanding your purpose in a more of a galactic sense is what's happening now for all of us, for a lot of us. This is like this whole month, I feel, was a lot about this. And coming closer to this magnetic pole with our star families. I have a few examples, and we're activating each other so beautifully, and our ties are getting much stronger, our bonds are just growing, because we understand the importance of togetherness and the same shared purpose. It won't be the same like physically, the things you're doing, but it is a group purpose and effort. And I was told this years ago when I began my automatic writings, that there's a group of us that will come together in perfect divine timing and do our work that we came here to do. Because together much more can be achieved. But first we need to activate ourselves to remember this, so that when we're in awakened state, we radiate that out. And when we emanate it, it's much easier to magnetize it, to magnetize each other all across the planet we are. So this is something I really wanted to share today. It's a much bigger perspective. I hope you enjoyed. And if I have anything more to share on this note, I will do. that a bit later. As you know, I'm always expanding because my own awareness is always expanding and it's coming, you know. And it's much more important to understand this, that it's not just when we say ancestral healing, you know, okay, your family, but who are you really our ancestors? Who is really your ancestor? Ask yourself this. Who created this planet? Who are the first seeders? Who are our true ancestors? And who were always our family? And understanding that we were always one. Always. We were never separate. Okay, beloved ones, this is so much for today. I'm getting kind of chilly here. I'm going to leave you for now. And I'll talk to you soon. As always, so much love, wisdom, and power straight from my heart. Take care. Bye-bye. Hey, beloved ones. I wanted to show you. This is where I was recording. What a beautiful, beautiful space to actually record a video, isn't it? There's a water there flowing. There's the mountain walls. As you can see, there's always so much to see in the mountains, and messages that are beyond, that we are receiving now from our multidimensional selves, from expanded realities and timelines, and to really embody our soul star as we are here now. The mountains are, sorry, not visible today in the clouds, but the valley is beautiful, and I'm sending you beautiful greetings. Enjoy your timeless essence always and forever. Yeah, just look at this. Huh? Wow. They just told me, my light family, that this is the Elven way. These high elevation points, that they're not actually official paths. They're just rocks and endless rocks and rocks and rocks. But it's just amazing. And I can't really explain, but usually I have these poles, like strong poles to go somewhere, and I just needed to climb to this rock here, and I put my hand, because I was holding the rocks to climb, and guess what was under my hand? Yeah, a white snail spiral. It doesn't really want to zoom it in, but anyway, it's perfect. And I always find these, I've noticed that I find these when I conclude and complete a certain cycle in my life, and it's really beautiful how Spirit just sends these messages. So it just fell in my hands, and this is how it is. It's perfect. Nothing is not perfect. It's just whether we live like this or not. And I'm wondering what you're seeing in this rocks as I'm showing you this view. And usually we have white rocks, but these are so wet, so they're pretty dark, because the water from the waterfall there is constantly falling off, and it's beautiful. Okay guys, that's it for me.